We are here at the LG press conference at MWC, and we've just seen the company take the wraps off two new phones, the V50 in my hand and the G8 with Roger.
G8 ThinQ.
The G8 ThinQ. Well, let's start with the V50 ThinQ. Roger, what's exciting about this phone?
Well, obviously, what's exciting is the headline. It's its first 5G phone. It's coming to Sprint in the US first, as well as a Korean telecom company. But it's the first of 5G for LG.
For LG?
For
the
LG.
First 5G?
Yes.
That's a big deal. So we're going to have faster data speeds and all kinds of other cool things that 5G is going to bring. So is that all that excites you about this phone?
For the most part,
You're trying
yes.
to get
There is
something.
one little surprise that they pulled out at the end. That was this dual screen companion, basically a cover case that acts as a second screen, or basically
like a second monitor, right?
Well, or a poor man's foldable phone.
I see. So that's
works
what they're doing.
So it works like a cover case, but it's a second screen, and it works pretty well. It pairs kind of wirelessly, and you can sort of switch displays. They work together just like a foldable phone would, but it's not foldable and it's accessory.
Yeah, so we've seen some examples of actual dual screen when you can see an app on one screen and an app on another.
Yep.
Also, I think I remember seeing you can use it as like a controller if you're gaming, and you can have some of the controls in one. For me, I play a lot of games on my phone, so actually I think that is kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, I think it's only available in select markets. For instance, it may not be coming to the US, which is a little bit disappointing because this is actually one of the more interesting parts of that phone.
Definitely, yeah, and also means it probably won't be going to the UK either, but we don't know about that, so we'll have to wait, I think, for availability and of course pricing on a second screen for your phone. But there are some other cool features in this. Like the camera has got this thing that it calls Zed-Camera, is that right, or is that on the G8?
That's just the G8, unfortunately. That one's the normal camera.
This is the regular camera. Okay, we have still got 3 cameras on the back for like a wide angle view and that stuff. So on that note, why don't we move on to the G8 then? So what's this going on?
The G8, and this is sort of the main flagship phone. This is the one that most carriers are going to sell. That one's the one you have to wait on. But this is sort of the mass market phone, the latest in their G series. The biggest innovation here is this Z-Camera.
Z-Camera, yeah.
No. Z-Camera.
Yeah, but I'm English, so we're going with Zed-Camera.
I'm going with what they said on stage, which was Z-Camera.
I heard Zed.
So this is a Infineon-powered camera. The whole deal is this time-of-flight camera. Basically tracks 3D images, and it basically is the answer to iPhone's Face ID.
Sure, so it's like depth sensing.
Exactly. Okay. And so they're introducing the first camera that unlocks via a palm and vein sensor. It actually reads the vein as opposed to the fingerprint, which they say is supposed to be more secure. I can't unlock this phone because somebody else's vein is attached to it, and so that's why it's still locked.
I haven't heard of vein unlocking before, and I understand that obviously veins in your hand are quite complex, but surely I think there's a lot that can interfere with that. I mean, if you've got, I don't know, if you've got fatter hands like me, like can it see as well? And if it's veins, does it have to be your hand, or could it do your thigh or a buttock?
I think they could do other things, but they chose to stick with the hand because how many people are unlocking phones with their butt?
I mean, I'd like to try. I'm happy to be the first. So that's kind of interesting. But then on the using the front camera as well with that depth, there's also like a motion thing.
Exactly. There's this air motion controller. The idea, if you're unlocking your phone with your hand like this, they put in gesture controls. You could actually do things like beyond unlock the phone. You can open up certain apps. You can play YouTube. You can even turn the volume up and down.
Yeah, so you literally have your hand over it, and as though you're turning an actual, like an old school volume knob. That's kind of interesting, but is this something that anyone's been really asking for?
Not really. I think it's a little bit on the gimmicky side for sure. And I tried this. It didn't work so well. It was actually a pretty rough implementation.
Sure.
They say that this is going to get improved for the next couple of weeks. It's continually getting updated, so maybe it'll be ready for prime time. But when I tried it, it was a really rough experience.
Yeah. It sounds very, very gimmicky. The only time I could really see this being used, and indeed this is what the demo on stage suggested, is if you're cooking and you've got food on your hands and you don't want to touch the screen. And the guy said, oh yeah, that and lots of other uses. And I kind of want to grab him and say, give me one other use. Give me one other time when you're going to want to use this, because I can't think of anything beyond cooking.
I guess if you're swimming, you come out of the pool, I guess, and you don't want to touch
happen to have put your phone on the side.
That's what I do.
You get to your phone before you get to your towel. When does, like, I don't know when that happens. Maybe I don't know. I'd be very interested to hear if anyone can think of any good reasons to have that beyond cooking. But that doesn't really excite you then, does it? And the camera thing doesn't really. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't seem particularly jazzed about this.
Yeah, look, this is a bit of bad timing for LG, right? They announced this phone, and it's a nice phone. You know, it's got the latest specs. It's got the Qualcomm 855, 6 gigs of RAM. It's a high-end phone, but it's coming at a time when companies are releasing foldable phones and things that do all kinds of crazy, gimmicks or tricks. Yeah. And so, granted, those phones are in the $2,000, $2,600 range. A lot more expensive. This is not going to be that. It's going to be definitely more of a premium phone, but a standard premium phone. Yeah. But it's just not that interesting.
Excluding the folding phones, which obviously are there from the show at the moment, it's Huawei's foldable phone and Samsung's foldable phone from last week. They're the things that are really attracting the headlines.
Right.
But putting it even against the Galaxy S10 Plus, Samsung's flagship, how do you think either of these phones compare?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I think it's the same problem that LG has year after year. They put out their phone like a few weeks after or a few days after Samsung does. The Samsung hardware is usually a better experience, and it's just hard to get anyone to notice the LG phone. Like I said, a decent phone, but just, when it stacks up to the Samsung S10, it's tough.
They fall into the background quite a lot, and even on the way here, as we were talking, I was saying, I don't think I've seen an LG G7 in the wild. Yeah, these phones are on sale, but people don't really get that excited about them, and I don't think LG is doing a lot to really generate a lot of enthusiasm for not only its phones, but the brand in general. And Samsung is doing better things with that. Huawei is doing better things with that. And to me, at the moment, I'm not really seeing a lot of reasons to be particularly excited about either of these phones right now. But I think it's probably going to come down to overall experience and indeed price.
Yes.
And that's something that we're going to have to figure out in a few weeks. Roger, anything else that you think that we need to say about these phones?
No, I think we've pretty much well covered it. I mean,
cool.
This is it.
Cool. If you're happy, I'm happy. Of course, do let us know your thoughts about both these phones in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe for a lot more from CNET. And of course, keep your eye on cnet.com/MWC for all of our coverage of Mobile World Congress 2019.